Hello everybody, welcome back. Junior here, and we are here at Podium Karting for our 4th Friday night endurance event. You can hear me singing here to try and calm myself down, but this is going to be a rather unique video here with some onboard footage as well as some shots from viewing areas around the track, thanks to my good friend Ethan Brown, who's actually going to be a co-driver of mine for the 24 Hours of Lemons coming up this September. Getting started with qualifying here though, you can see a little flashbang on the setting sun here in Denver. But as we come back, we get ready for our group qualifying session just prior to the race. You can see here, when we're at the tires, as we come around out of that final hairpin, and then you hear me gassing up, and as we come firing down these fast, sweeping left-handers, that is the green flag. You can see that number 50 cart just ahead of me is already slowing me down as we come around that flag stand. So I'm going to go ahead and waste no time, dive up his inside. Like I said earlier though, this is just qualifying, so passing people doesn't matter much, if at all. See, I get a few corners of clean air there, including that little section with the blind hairpin, which is crucial to your lap. Those corners will make or break it, and how fast you can take that segment alone is really what sets the fastest drivers apart from the slowest ones. You can see though I don't get much clean air as the 47 cart very quickly I approach him. End of the hairpin, he gets a blue flag, but totally ignores it, so I have to make a dive up the inside, nearly take us both out. And, you know, that's one more driver we know we're faster than. I did know most of the drivers in this field. It is a pretty regular crowd that comes to these events, so I knew I was at least podium level speed here, but past people is always a nice confirmation of that. Coming out of the hairpin, I see an absolutely depressing sight to the left there. A pack of carts or cars like that is always painful to see, as the guys at the front, even if they're the fastest, are slowing each other down, bringing the guys behind into it, and, you know, it just slows everyone over, or slows everyone down, screwing everyone over. It's some nice practice for wheel-to-wheel racing for the race, but you'll see quite shortly that doesn't really happen during an endurance race. You can see a little later in qualifying there that engine cut happens, an absolutely beautiful thing to happen. You can see my frustration, because I didn't feel like that was going to be my fastest lap. Cut a little later though, you can see a blue flag. He tries to get me to the inside. I tried to set myself up for the hairpin because no one was letting me by, but I do thank him for the effort at least. But that is qualifying out of the way. And so you'll see in just a moment here, as we line up on the grid though, that I qualified third with a 29.6. The pole sitter took it by just a tenth with a 29.5, and second place only 0.03 off of that. So overall, pretty close qualifying, although the guy who started in last ran a 31.4 as his best qualifying lap. You can see I'm swinging the cart around, trying to warm the tires up just before that grid slot there. But the driver I'm looking at, and the one I'm intimidated by, is that number 21 cart just ahead of me in second place. So this must be like a Formula 1 thing where everyone gives each other a thumbs up before the race, because I've seen references to that and other things, but I'm not cultured enough to actually know if that's like a legitimate thing. But you can see the front two did it, and then I got a thumbs up. As we get ready here, you can see I flip my visor down, and you can see he waves the red flag, giving the on your marks, get set, and green flag. We are off. A good jump for me, though not good enough to fight for second off the line here. I did consider jumping these inside for this first corner. Heading into the first hairpin off the start here, you can see off the exit, the front two begin to pull away from me a little bit, and off the start here, I'm just trying to keep it clean and get halfway with the leader, still within striking distance. I've got a nice gap to the cart behind me though, so I don't have to worry about defense off the start. Just chasing the guys ahead. You can see as we exit that first hairpin on the lap that I close back up to the 21. Loose a little on exit, but through the blind hairpin, I'm able to get back to the rear bumper of that 21. And I'm back in this fight for the lead in just a few corners. I come out of that final hairpin, and through the sweeping left-handers to cross the line and start the second lap. Still chasing that 26 down the front stretch. He's wide past the flag stand, into the outside wall he goes, and past the pit exit. 21 is by, and I'm going to pull an old switcheroo on the 26 cart, get in line behind the 21, and as we come to the blind hairpin, I'm sticking right with him. But you can see coming out of that hairpin, I get hit from behind from that 26. He's now looking for a way back past me, and the 21 drives away. As we cross the stripe, you can see only get further and further. I was starting to lose hope, thinking, I knew I couldn't keep up with this guy. And then I saw that lap car on the other side of the hairpin, and I had an idea. If I could be within a distance, then I could start pressuring the 21 cart. I might be able to get him to make a mistake, It allows me by while he tries to lap the kart ahead of him. We head into this first hairpin on the lap again, and you can see here just how close he is to that lap kart with a second wind almost. I could have screamed down his backstretch behind that 21 as he's pressuring that lap kart into the blind hairpin. With how close that 21 is, I know he's going to get slowed down. Coming out of the blind hairpin and into the final one, you can see the lap kart now goes out of both our ways, I think, and now that I'm closer to 21 again, I'm going to push for that lead as hard as I can. You're going to see here, though, as we go through that blind hairpin, there's a little train of 3 karts ahead. And I see that as my opportunity to try and pass the 21 for the lead. If those 3 karts can get close enough to one another to start fighting and slow one another down, me and the 21 will get close enough that I can try and pass the 21 and then get through the traffic and run away with the lead. We head now into this blind hairpin a lap or so later, and you can see the 21 kart is now closing the back of the kart just ahead. Into the final hairpin, he's not close enough to make a move and get that lap kart out of the way, and now when we have the front stretch coming up, that 21 will most definitely get held up by those lap karts through the front stretch. You can see now as we pass the flag stand and come down to the first hairpin, the 21 tries to look for a good run out of the hairpin and onto the backstretch, and he actually holds up the 21 kart. Down into the blind hairpin, 21 has to slow up for the lap kart, and I'm right to the rear bumper of that 21. We come around the last hairpin, and you see both cars getting out of the way of the 21, the guy with the red helmet letting us both by, while the guy just behind him who was holding up the 21 not only passes that driver with the red helmet, but nearly gets put in the wall because I thought he was letting me by it too. You can now see how close I am to the rear bumper of that number 21 kart. And you see a mistake through the penultimate corner. He cuts a little bit to the inside of the racing line as we come to the front of the corner. You see that allows me to get back to his rear bumper as we come through that front stretch. You'll see we lose sight of the battle down at the first hairpin, but as we come out of it, you'll see just how close I am to that number 21 down the backstretch here. Diving into the blind hairpin, it's an exceptional corner this time, and I almost give the 21 a shot in the center of the corner, so that's my key that I need to get past this guy and start pulling gap. Diving to the inside with the final hairpin, I'm able to make the dive work to the inside. You can hear Ethan there, excited that I moved myself up and into the lead of this endurance race, only a dozen or so laps into it. I told myself over and over going into this race that no matter what, I was going to just sit behind the lead of the whole race and wait for a mistake on his part or pass him on the last lap, because I know how badly I can succumb to pressure. You can see there, I decided I'm just going to let this guy go. So I pulled to the side on the straightaway and let him go screaming past. And I decided now that I would catch him again if I could, and I'd stay behind him until the end of the race when I could pass him for the win. Meanwhile, in the back of my mind, I was noticing that third place was closing in on us slowly but surely, and it wasn't the 26 kart anymore. We come to the front stretch, and I actually close in on the 21 a little bit. And then under brakes for the first hairpin, I close, and on exit, I continue to get closer to the 21. But to my displeasure, he lets me go to the lead. And he actually loses second place in all of that to the number 22 car, who is now all over my rear bumper. And as soon as I got the lead back, I could feel bumps from her all through the front stretch and on the exits of the hairpins. So I was already worried about how long I could hold this lead, because I didn't feel like we'd been racing for very long at all. Little did I know that we were actually just beginning to approach the halfway point, and the 21 would actually begin to fall back as we got further and further into this run. So it was just me and the 22 leading the way. I later found out that he had gotten a stomach cramp, so once he realized the 26 was going to pass him for a podium position, he decided to pit in and take a DNF. Meanwhile, as you can see here, I'm approaching lap traffic. I get a terrible run through the front stretch this time. After seeing yellow flags off to my left, I glanced over and got hit from behind coming with the hairpin until the 22 dove it up my inside. Right there, as you can see. I tried the old switcheroo, but she covers off just well enough to where I hit her in the quarter panel. You can hear Ethan with the oh no after seeing me get past for the lead. I'd like to say I was thinking ahead and knew that if the 22 got away, I wouldn't be able to catch her, but honestly, I was just angry and my temper flared right there. And so since she'd been bumping me, I just decided to let the inside. See there, she gets cut back in the old switcheroo. come down the straights, you can see she almost puts me in the wall. Marshall holds up the no contact sign, and I'm like, what? This is endurance racing. Contact is kind of how this racing goes. Speaking of contact, the 22 gives me the room for the die this time, so it's less of a smash inside of her, but I do still use her up to make the corner and get the lead back. This time around, I hold my line and brace for a dive, but instead I get punted out. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I actually tried to dump her there, but I didn't have enough leverage there, and I ended up just pushing her ahead. And as we come up and approach that blind hairpin, you see the lap traffic is just ahead. You might have noticed they've been fighting, but I make a dive to the inside, lock up the brakes, and kick her rear end out alongside mine. The two of us have a drag race down the straight, and the sweeping left-handers almost from a stop. And don't look now, but guess who's back into this fight? The 26, pole sitter. Has come back after that mistake, and that embarrassing mistake on that too, and is looking to give the two of us a fight. You can see I pull the old switcheroo of the 22 on the edge of the hairpin this time. She squeezes me into the wall again, so I nearly dump her again, to show her that I'm not yielding. This time I keep it to the inside and send it in deep into the blind hairpin, and the 22 backs in the line. You can hear Ethan in the recording there going absolutely ballistic at the battle for the lead going on here. But you might have noticed I went a bit defensive into the corner, but somehow the 22 found another lane. However, she left herself open to the old switcheroo to the final hairpin, though. The 22 doesn't make a move, so I think the battle for the lead is over. I like it back at it. It was a lot of fun. But at the moment, I recall, I was just so angry. I just kept trying to wreck the 22, so I wouldn't have to keep dealing with these ridiculous dive bombs. You know, not like a Joey Logano Martin Truex wreck, more of like a Denny Hamlin Ross Chastain. Looking at the video at the bottom now, the 26 is right behind us, ready to pounce at any moment. It was really cool to see the two guys I had shared a podium with last month cheer me on for a win, alongside my man Ethan, giving live reactions to every second of the race. See that battle camera there? I had about a kart length of room between me and the 22, so I could breathe now. And it looked like that fight for the lead had all but wrapped up. Looking a little later in the race here, you can see I've caught those two lappers that me and the 22 were going to pass, but we got so caught up in fighting that they were able to drive away. So running them back down, 35 pulls over for the blue flag, trying to let me go, but instead getting passed by the 1. Jumping back in line, trying to get a spot back, I have to check up so I don't hit the 35. Now I'm following him down the front stretch. I see blue flag, so I'm hoping they'll move out of the way into the hairpin. As you can see, neither of them do. I get a good run on the exit and consider making a move to the inside, but it really wasn't worth possibly getting blocked. Into the blind hairpin, the 35 checks up, which I was partially expecting, which causes the 26 to slam into the back of me. Going into the last hairpin, I dove to the inside of the 35, knowing he wasn't going to pull over like the number 1 car ahead of him did. Looking at another replay here, I love the snaking of this train of karts it does going into the blind hairpin here. Looking at it now, you can see I was actually 3 wide to the final hairpin with those guys. After getting clear of the lap traffic there, it kind of stayed 2 wide and fighting, which held up the 22 and the 26, which gave me breathing room. Breathing room was short-lived though, as only 5 or so laps later, heading into the first hairpin, the 22 sends it in deep. You see she slides almost to a halt. If you look though, you can see her frustration as that move should have worked if she hadn't slipped. A little squeezing down the backstretch into the blind hairpin. I'm not lifting, I'm going to hold my ground. 22 squeezes me a little bit and gets thrown out wide. I hold the lead into and out of both hairpins and around to complete the lap. Not much to report for a while, as it was actually a pretty calm race after that. Sure, the 22 was still on me and pushing me, but she never made a move. And as we come through the blind hairpin again into the final hairpin, I came around to the start-finish line on the front stretch to see a group of fans cheering me on, trying to encourage me to get away from the 22. Among the group, as you can see on screen right now, was the driver of that 21. Here is where he bailed out of the race with that stomach cramp, cheering me on to the victory. Now, though, as we come to lap a lap kart, we're not going to get the blue flag. You can see my frustration. And we won't dive into the final hairpin because I was hoping the 34 would be aware enough that he would let me by, which, as you can see, he did not. As we head down and towards the front stretch, though, you can see the 34 is holding me up tremendously. And as soon as I get the opportunity, I come screaming down the inside towards the hairpin. And I think the 34, even after seeing me, almost turned into me and into the apex. But after getting around the 34, nothing more really happened, just me running laps. Now with a little breathing room between me and the 22. And it was right about now that I was thinking to myself, man, it has been a long race. How long do I have? And on the timing board, it actually says how much longer is left. And as tempted as I was to look at that, I knew if I did, and we were in fact close to the finish, I would slow down enough that I would lose. So I told myself, just wait for the white flag, and then you know we're done. Well, speak of the devil. I actually said that in the recording, but I dived down to the first hairpin and looked back, and the 22 is still a kart length back. She can't make a move into the blind hairpin. She'll need a perfect corner to be close enough to challenge for the win. We go through the blind hairpin, and as we swing around the last hairpin, no dive, and on the exit, the 22 isn't close enough to make anything happen. You can obviously hear my excitement there. You know, this was my first like real life semi-sanctioned like race by position win. I come to this track all the time and I do their little like daily races, I guess, if you will, which is just win by time, and I often dominate those. So no, it wasn't anything too impressive that I normally do those wins, but to be able to do this and just go on to win, like I said, this first ever like real life appearance. Well, this wasn't my first ever real life appearance. This was like, as I said at the beginning of the video, this is my 4th time doing this event, and a lot of it I just had never been lucky, never been in a good enough spot to be able to do any of this. Like, obviously, if you guys look back at the channel, you can see the 30 minutes of pain video, which I'll put in the ending card at the end of the video here. And that one was just really bad luck. You know, I qualified. I qualified towards the back of the pack. I knew I had a lot of work to do, but I knew I could do it. And once we got going, I felt like the tire pressures were just way too high. Kart was really slippy. Obviously, I lost a spot or two off the line. And then as we came around the sweeping corner, I kind of squeezed someone. I think he hit the inside wall, bounced into me. I spun around. And obviously, I got slammed into that guy that was running dead last. And I didn't have time to just sit around and be like, oh, wow, that hurt. So I just got going. So, yeah, that race was really unlucky. And I would have finished a position higher than I did if that guy knew what the blue flag meant. But anyway, we're not going to go too deep into that. And then the second one I ever did, I actually have the whole thing recorded. I'm just not going to post it. Quite simply, I'm just not going to post it. At least not as it stands right now. I think it's all in my OneDrive, that, or it's still in my SD card in my GoPro, or I have it downloaded to my computer. I don't know where the video is, but I know it's somewhere. And like I said, I am not, as it stands right now, I'm not in a position to post that, because that race was kind of abysmal. I qualified, what was it, 2nd or 3rd? I qualified really well, and I was like, I think it was 2nd, because I thought to myself, I might have a shot to win this thing. And then I got a kart that had just like, for those like 10 horsepower karts, I had to have been like 1 or 2 horsepower down on everyone else, because I was just so much slower on the straightaways. Like I watched the replay back and it was just painful. Like I didn't realize it at first. I thought I was just really bad on exit, and then it got to the point where I was passing lap cars. I would get right behind them. I would even, gain on them on the exit, and then about halfway down the straightaway, we would even out, and then on the entry to the next corner, they would actually start pulling away, and then they would break way early, and then I would just blow past them. But that was the point it came to, and that was when I realized I was down on power. But by that point, I'd already lost 2-3 spots. I was on the 5th. I ended up finishing 8th that night as well. The 3rd night I got pretty lucky. Got a nice kart. Started up in 4th. Went out to finish 3rd. Not bad at all. It was a very fun race. It really got to the point where I was following the guys that qualified. I was following the guy that qualified 3rd, who was the guy that qualified pole in this, or qualified 2nd in this video. The number 21, the one that I was worried about.
He was a guy that had started second, or he started third in that one. And I'd been following him, and he quickly got around the guy in second. And I think the guy in second had the same kart that I did because he was really struggling on exit. And eventually I did kind of give him a bump, but then I just blew past. I blew his doors off on the exit of a hairpin. I was stuck behind that guy for so long that I couldn't catch that guy who ended up finishing in second. He was like half a lap ahead of me by that point. So that was really frustrating. And I did record the grid sequence, but I didn't record the race because I stopped the video at the start of the race when I thought I was starting it. So I'm still kind of salty about that. And then of course we have this weekend where I went on and won. And I think it's a really cool thing that I won this weekend because it very much reminded me, or this win I should say, looking back at it, reflecting on it, it very much reminds me of that time I finished 8th after qualifying 2nd. It's like, I very well could have won that race. I totally could have. If I'd just known how to take that blind hairpin sequence, the left just before the blind hairpin, if I had known how to take that back in however old I was, if I had known how to do that, I would have been gone and away race 1. And so that's actually where I was losing a lot of time. And it even got to the point where there was a couple of times where people hit me through the left and it sped me up into the blind hairpin and I like slid to a stop. And so like 2 guys blew past me at one point. It slowed me down enough that into the last hairpin of the track, you know, people were right on my bumper, so they just looked at my inside and just sent it, and I couldn't do anything. So yeah, it was obviously that race was very frustrating. You know, I was just so slow. Not even in the corner. Like I said, in the corners, I would gain on those guys all the way up until the exit, and then on the exit we'd get even, and I just watched them drive away. And even though they only, you know, drove an extra 5 feet away, it felt like they were just driving light years away from me. Anyway, if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. Go ahead and watch out for the channel. Obviously, I've always got new stuff coming out. Hopefully, some real-world racing opportunities coming out, more like this in the future. Hopefully, a little more professional, but we'll have to see. But yeah, like I said, if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. Like I said at the beginning of the video, huge thanks to Ethan Brown. I could not have gotten those out of kart shots without him. They were really cool. I really loved watching them. Being able to watch our lines and really actually how close I was to the kart ahead. And that on the GoPro, it looks like you're pushing them, but on the GoPro video, you're a solid like 1.5 feet back. It was very it was a good thing to have for myself. So anyway, if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.